Hello and welcome to Microsoft Access 2010. You may have a newer version of the software on your computer and that will work fine. There's some confusion right now about the textbook. Whichever one you have ordered, there are evidently listed two at the college's website. We'll just go with that the way it is. Getting started with Access is the second portion of most of your illustrated brief textbooks. We're going to attempt in these short 5 class periods is to understand a relational database. If you've got experience with database in the past, essentially they're a lot like a spreadsheet. You've got just some basic information. In Access, however, everything is connected, and it's connected in a unique way. And I think as you start to learn it, it's going to be a little more difficult than other inexpensive or free databases, but this particular one allows us to do some in-depth things that those less expensive ones do. We're going to explore the database. You're going to create a database right off the bat, and you're going to create a table. Now, the objectives are create a primary key. You're going to learn about what a primary key is in this unit. You're going to relate 2 tables. In other words, you're going to connect parts of 2 individual tables together so that when you're looking for information, it will go get that information from several places because they're going to be interconnected. You're going to, in this exercise, do some entering of data and edit some of that data so you feel comfortable with the materials that are there and some of the samples that have already been created for you. So, understanding a relational database. We're going to lists of information are related to one another, and Access, this specific program by Microsoft, provides tools that allow sorting, allow you to group, allow you to analyze information, and it has a reporting feature that allows you to report data in many different ways. The advantages of Access is it minimizes duplicate data. You don't have to have it in several different places. It increases the accuracy and consistency. Data entry is faster and easier. Data can be viewed and sorted in many different ways. Let me give you one example of how we would do that. Let's say we're a hospital in the state of Alaska. We have people coming from all different directions. Perhaps that hospital located in Anchorage would like to know how many people with this particular flu live perhaps in the Matsu area. They could put in zip codes and bring up how many people this month in the Matsu have flu. And the database would go find that information for them based upon the information that the hospital is receiving as the customers come into it. So that's a nice feature of being able to view and sort the information. Information is more secure in Access. That can be locked up, and if you're working for somebody and they already have a database set in place, you're not going to be able to go in and alter the setup, the columns, and the information that's there. You can enter data, but it's not going to allow you to reformat the documents because those will be secure and locked. Data can be shared and edited by several users simultaneously. So if you're in a hospital, I'm going to use a hospital. I know an awful lot of people work in those in the state of Alaska. You can have somebody in the offices entering data and updating data based upon information that they have, but at the same time, if you as a customer walk through the door and they are logging you into the system that day, both individuals can be simultaneously working on that database with your information, and that's a really nice feature. They also don't have to physically be in the same building. They could actually be online. Okay, in your textbook you're going to see documents like this one. It's going to refer to both Excel and Access, so you have a visual and a written format to indicate the differences between them and the similarities between both Access. Maybe you have experience with with Excel, and if you do have experience with Excel, you may find many of the features similar as far as the tabs go. Access can be opened in the following ways. It can be opened from the Start menu. It can be opened from an Access shortcut icon. It can be pinned to the program Start, and it also can be double-clicked as a database. And here another example of Access objects. You're going to be looking at these words: a table, a query, a form, and a report. If you're not familiar with these terms, they are there in your textbook to familiarize them. So we're going to start by using Access. There's a template, okay, and by opening a blank database as well. Table Design View provides the most options for defining views, and that's going to be addressed in your workbook. You're going to also have a data sheet view. Those are very similar to a spreadsheet, okay? And they're going to be different. There's different kinds of data types. You know, in you're working with a spreadsheet, you're familiar with things like text and numbers and formulas. Here in the database, we're not only going to have text, we're going to have memos, we're going to have numbers. You're going to have a date and time stamp that you can use. You can also use currencies, auto number, the attachments that you can attach in the same way you can use your internet by using photographs, JPEGs, images, spreadsheets, other documents, in the way in which you may use attachments in your emails also, okay? You can also provide hyperlinks, and hyperlinks essentially are those www. so forth that allows you to put them and attach them as well. So let's create a table. 3 essential tasks in creating a table. You're going to need to name that table. You're going to need to name the fields, and you're going to have to select data types for each field. In other words, maybe it's a number, maybe it's text, maybe it's a date, okay? Terminologies. Field, a specific piece or category of data which sets up and usually is something like this: last name, first name, city, state, and phone number. We go down to fields, and there the field is going to contain unique information about each record, such as the customer's number. Okay, and a lot of times in businesses, we're going to have a customer's number today based upon their social security number if you walk into a hospital. Okay, let me move on. Primary key. You know, this primary key, which you're going to see, actually it looks like a key when you bring up that database. It contains data that uniquely identifies each record. No 2 records can be the same entry. Primary field relates one table to another in a one-to-many relationship. One record in the first table is related to many records in the second table. And you'll see that as you do an exercise and you connect these components together. Okay, here we have visually, and I hope you can see it, primary key fields. And on the left upper corner there, you're going to see an image of a primary key. It looks like a passkey for a house. Okay, and that's called a primary key button. You're also going to notice that in the right-hand lower portion of it, you're going to see some field names and some data types. Okay, the very first one there, if it's highlighted, you're going to see the primary key symbol. It looks like a little key there. And in the upper portion of that, you're going to have tabs, and you'll notice that as you start to design it, there is in the table tools a thing called Design tab. So as you connect to different components of this, the ribbon across the top, which has Home and Create and Database tools, it also has a Design tool as well. And those are going to show up different elements as you begin working on this database. I think the ribbon is a good thing. Older versions, we didn't have that, and this makes visually seeing the component parts a lot easier to do. Okay, so we have field properties. These are characteristics of a specific field, okay? 2 properties require such as a name and a data type. You can add other properties such as the field size, the format, and the caption. More properties equal more restrictions. More data entries create a better accuracy. Tables must be linked before queries. Okay? Forms or reports can be created that utilize these fields. As you're learning this software, every time you build another report, it's going to save that report for you for future use. So it's important when you start thinking about these initially anyway in business, is you're going to want different names for different reports, because every time you go to get one, it will save it. And the next time you go to use it, that basic information will still be there and be available to you. Now, tables are linked in a one-to-many relationship. And as you start working with the information in Unit A, you're going to have an experience with some of that. Okay, here's another physical appearance. Here is where those linking takes place, and in your book there should be a similar image. Look at the right-hand portion of this where most of those red lines go to. There you're going to have a customer field and then a comments field. And what's neat about it is you're going to be able to link like the customer ID from one of these to the customer ID of another one. And it's a really simple, easy process that you're going to do here in Unit A. Let's go over some of the buttons you're seeing. Right now in this design button, we're looking at the Show the Table button. Now at the top, you would be clicking on Show the Table button. Then it's going to bring up these other images. And here you have the customer's table field list, the customer ID field. The customer's table is primarily the key field, and the one side of the relationship on the left-hand side. And there you see at the bottom some descriptions. Number 1 represents one side of the relationship. The line that links these two boxes is called the one-to-many relationship line. There's also an infinity symbol, which represents the many sides of the relationship. So as you start to connect these, you're going to see these little components pop up on the screen. And once you've done this a couple of times, then the understanding of what a relationship database is all about. Okay, in this Unit A, you're going to be entering a little bit of data. Always highlight in a different color to make it easier to find on the page. Refers to which data would be entered or edited if you started typing. Moving the focus to navigational. There you're going to have some options using the Tab key, using the Enter key, and you're going to have some navigational buttons, and you see the previous and next record buttons there. You're going to be editing some data in this unit. It saves new data and changes to existing data as soon as you move from record to record. Okay, it's not like most things where you have to go hit the save button. This is going to do it automatically. If you're familiar with accounting software, a lot of accounting software, the minute you hit the Tab key or the Enter key, it saves it automatically. So does this database. To change the contents of an existing record, navigate to the field you want to change and then type the new information. And again, once you type the new information and move to another cell, it's going to save it for you. Resizing and moving the datasheet columns, all you have to do is click and drag column separators to manually widen or narrow those columns. If you're not familiar with doing that in things like Excel, you could click on between the two column categories at the top of your screen, and it would change to a cross. And when you double click that cross, then it either increases or decreases the column that you're working on for the largest or longest words in that column. Okay. Keyboard shortcuts, they're also there. Things like the backspace key that will delete one character. F2 switches between edit and navigation mode. Some of the function keys are really cool, and hopefully you'll be using them. F7 throughout this is a spell checker. Okay, and you're going to find as you start to use this, and the exercises are going to point out using F7 to spell check. You're also going to see some other shortcuts there. Escape undoes that field. If you hit escape twice, it undoes all of the changes in the current records too. Something you have to be careful with is the escape button. Okay, in summary, this unit you're going to be able to understand essentially what a relational database is. You're going to explore database, you're going to create a database, you're going to create a table, you're going to create a primary key, you're going to be relating two tables, and then you're going to be entering and editing some